is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
It is 5 o'clock here on your Tuesday. Good morning to you. I'm Lauren Casey. Here's what's making headlines on this July 21st. It will soon be a requirement to wear a mask in Fishers, the new state guidelines as that city steps up its efforts to stop the spread of COVID-19. Mass Ave and Broad Ripple Avenue are set to stay closed through the Labor Day holiday to extend space for holiday dining. We're checking back in with the businesses to see how those changes have impacted them after about 2 months. And though the pandemic shows no signs of slowing, colleges and universities, they're preparing to welcome students back to campus. Working for you, we're asking them what's being done to keep students safe. It is 5:01. First, we want to get a check of our Storm Team 6 forecast. Todd Clausen is standing by right now. Todd, you're saying some people right now have been seeing some heavy rain showers. Here in downtown, it seems like we've been pretty quiet.
Yeah, it's been very quiet here in downtown Indianapolis. All the heavy rainfall, at least currently this morning, and really over the last hour, Lauren, has been off to the east in the Richmond area, back towards Centerville as well. And that rain continues to fall. Here's the good news, though. It's just plain old rain. We're not dealing with any thunderstorms. There was a little bit of lightning earlier, but that is now pushed off into Ohio. But still some heavy rainfall in downtown Richmond, and then it extends up US 27, really to the Randolph County border, and then off towards the southwest of Fairview. And this will be with us for maybe another 15 to 30 minutes or so. And at that point, it should be off into Ohio. However, there's this cluster of thunderstorms. This too will be heading in our direction over the course of the next couple hours. It'll be weakening as it heads our way, and it'll kind of fall apart from what is now some pretty good rain to just some scattered showers as it arrives. Temperatures 60s and 70s here this morning. We're going to keep the rain in the forecast off and on throughout much of the day for you. But just know there's a lot of dry hours mixed in. As we get later in the day today, though, the threat of severe weather ramps up. We'll talk about that chance for you coming up in just a few minutes, Lauren.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Let's take a look right now at traffic as you're heading out on the roads. We do have a traffic alert to tell you about. You can't see it here from our camera, but this is a look down the south side on I-465 and Madison Avenue. If you're in the westbound lanes right now here on 465, here's what you need to know. As you're approaching the East Street exit there to US 31, that's the next exit you'll hit heading in the westbound direction from this spot. We do have that exit ramp closed for a crash right now. It's also closing part of southbound US 31 up to about Thompson Road. That's near that ramp system there. So keep that in mind. If you are trying to get south and you're on the interstate, you'll need to get off at State Road 37 Harding Street and use some side roads to reroute to get back over to US 31 if that's part of your commute. You can maybe use Southport Road as a detour. We'll continue to keep you updated, but this is just something to keep in mind for your commute. Starting on Friday, wearing a mask will be mandatory in Fishers. The city's health department board approved that decision last night. It requires everyone to wear a mask over their nose and mouth while inside public places and outdoors if social distancing is not possible. Now, that does not apply to those 5 years old or younger or those with specific health conditions. You can find more details on the new regulations right now on our website, theindychannel.com. Here's a look at the latest COVID-19 numbers for the state of Indiana. The State Department of Health is reporting 658 new cases and 3 new deaths. More than 57,000 Hoosiers have tested positive for the virus so far. 2,632 Hoosiers have died. More than 635,000 people have been tested for COVID-19 in our state. Well, for months, the streets have been shut down in popular areas of Indianapolis, and that's allowed for restaurants to provide more outdoor dining amid the pandemic, a decision that was initially criticized and is now being praised by retailers. Our Kelsey Anderson is joining us live this morning from Mass Ave. And Kelsey, what are the shop owners saying now?
Hey, Lauren, good morning. Well, since mid-May, this street has been closed. You can see no cars, no people, just seating outside, and that's allowing owners to have people sitting outside and be able to social distance right now as the pandemic is still top of mind. And the owner here of Silver in the City, she says when it first happened, she wasn't sure it was a good idea, but now she says she's changed her mind. Kristen Cohn is the owner of Silver in the City, and after seeing the pedestrian-friendly plan in action, she's found an appreciation for the once unwelcome change. Her shop now features a sitting area where cars would normally park, and the names of Black Americans fueling the Black Lives Matter movement are what customers see as they walk in.
Having the streets closed allowed us to connect more as members of the community, and as people came out to protest and in support of Black Lives Matters, and as businesses started putting up boards, again, showing their support. But the conversations that we've been able to have, because so many people came and walked and biked.
She says while she is able to connect more with the community, sales are still 50% for the year, and she's still hoping she and other businesses can crawl out of the hole created by this pandemic. Now, because businesses and restaurants have really bought into this pedestrian plan, the city is going to extend it until after Labor Day. And we've got those other streets besides Mass Ave over for you on the IndyChannel.com. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, RTV 6.
Kelsey, thank you. The time right now is 5:06 on your Tuesday. As cases continue to rise, more school districts are delaying the start of their school year. Lawrence Township is the latest to do so. The school board voted unanimously last night to move the first day of school for students to August 13th. School there was originally set to start on August 3rd. The district says that extra time will help their staff members get accustomed to new safety changes. Clark Pleasant Schools also announced the first day there is pushed back to August 6th. That's a week later than originally planned. And over the weekend, IPS announced a 2-week delay to August 17th. Now, as schools prepare to welcome students back, we know colleges and universities, they are coming up with safety plans to help get education ramped back up on college campuses. Our Alyssa Donovan has the details.
Many colleges and universities still have a few weeks before they welcome back students to campus, but in the meantime, they're preparing their safety measures amid the pandemic.
We've been hearing from young people and their parents for months. Please find a way to make it possible. We want to come. We don't want to stop our education.
Purdue University President Mitch Daniels says around 88% of students have opted to return to campus, while 12% of undergrads have opted for online classes due to either safety reasons or travel bans. The university is taking many safety measures, purchasing more than a mile of plexiglass that will be used to separate professors and their students. They've also designated 500 beds for those who need to quarantine.
I don't think you can do too much when you're trying to protect students, and in our case especially faculty and staff and others who might be more vulnerable than most of our students will be.
Students heading to Purdue's campus will be required to be tested for COVID-19. Other Indiana universities are laying out similar plans. IU is also requiring students to get tested. Those planning to attend class at the Bloomington campus must get tested within 10 days of arriving. At other IU locations, students will only be required to get tested if they're moving into the dorms. Ball State is adding more classes in the evenings to allow for smaller class sizes. And anyone who's on campus will be required to wear a face mask or a shield at all times, unless they're alone in a workspace or working behind a plexiglass barrier. Daniels says those involved in higher education are exchanging ideas and asking questions to ensure schools are doing the best they can to provide safe learning environments.
Nobody can say for certain that we can make this work. Plans have been changing in country after country, state after state, but it's the right thing to try to do. We're going to do literally everything that we think might make it any safer or more successful.
I'm Alyssa Donovan, RTV 6.
Alyssa, thank you. The time right now is 5:09. The city of Indianapolis is considering a second round of rental assistance to help people rebound from the economic crisis caused by this pandemic.
There are certainly families across our city facing crisis, and some who are now on a waiting list for this program. So we know that even despite our best efforts to size a program that was meaningful, it's not enough to meet the need across the community.
Well, the program for Marion County residents started taking applications 1 week ago. Officials say they received 10,000 in just 3 days. Because of the high volume of applications, requests are temporarily suspended. That does not mean that help is no longer available.
And as we get further into the application processing over the next couple of weeks, we hope to be able to reopen and take some of the folks off the waiting list because there are still funds available in this round.
You're asked to go to indyrent.org and click on the link to share your contact information to get on that waiting list. At 5:10, if you're living outside of Marion County, the state is offering a similar rental assistance program. You can apply for that by going to indianahousingnow.org. You can also call 1-844-463-7368. The Indiana Family and Social Services Administration announced the launch of the Be Well Crisis Hotline, and that's to help mental health during this pandemic. It's a confidential resource through Indiana 211, that is. That's going to allow you to speak to a trained counselor 24/7. This free helpline was established in direct response to the increased levels of stress and anxiety that many people are feeling right now. All you have to do is call 211 and select option 3 to be connected to a counselor. Right now, let's get a check of our forecast. Todd Clausen is standing by from home. What can we expect for our Tuesday, Todd?
You know, there's a lot of dry hours here for the day today, Lauren, but there's also the chance of these thunderstorms basically flaring up at any point throughout the day today. Now, some of you are already seeing some rain this morning, but most of us are dry as we get going and rise and shine here across the area. So the thunderstorms are mainly off to the east right now, and temperatures are currently sitting in the 70s. There's some humidity around as well, and you can see the heavy rainfall that's made its way through portions of eastern Indiana and now continues to fall over in Richmond. But we're almost done with this rain for now, but there's more rain off to our west that'll be coming in at times throughout the day today. Probably a little less in the way of sunshine today compared to yesterday with the increased rain threat that's around. So temperatures today anywhere from 82 to about 85 degrees for your high temperature. And we are expecting some of the storms later on today to be strong to severe. So Storm Shield, always a great app to have. Completely free in your app store. You set the alerts to your location. And even if there's no severe weather heading our way, it has an interactive radar on there that you can control. So it's great for that walk through the neighborhood. So download that now. We'll talk more about the storm chances in just a little bit.
All right, Todd, thank you. A Fishers police officer has filed a federal lawsuit against the city, coming up why he says he was never paid for more than 1,000 hours of work off the clock. And new information about the lawyer suspected in a deadly attack on a federal judge and her family, why the FBI says he could be connected to another murder. It's 5:12. Stick around. We'll be right back. Well, first responders called in some unusual backup after this crash at I-65 and I-70 at the North Split. A semi hauling 54 cattle overturned just before 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. The driver and his dog were not hurt, but 6 cattle died. State police contacted cowboys to help corral the cattle into trailers and round up one that ran away. Pretty crazy. Well, a Fishers police officer has filed a federal lawsuit claiming the city never paid him for more than 1,000 hours that he worked off the clock. Robert Bowling worked as a school resource officer. The lawsuit alleges that Bowling was assigned to special projects and was told to work off the clock after he was disciplined for not completing his regular duties in a timely manner. The lawsuit accuses the city of Fishers of violating the Fair Labor Standards Act. RTV6 has reached out to Fishers police in the city regarding the lawsuit. We are waiting to hear back. Bowling was placed on leave from the police department last year amid allegations of ghost employment. Indiana State Police investigated and the Hamilton County Prosecuting Attorney's Office reviewed this case. They did not file criminal charges against Bowling. However, Fishers Police is moving forward with terminating him from that department. New developments this morning in a case of a deadly attack on a family of a federal judge out in New Jersey. Investigators say the gunman was a prominent Manhattan lawyer who once called the judge, quote, incompetent. And now authorities are reportedly investigating whether the suspect carried out another deadly attack in California. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest.
This morning, new details about the attorney and self-described anti-feminist accused of killing a federal judge's son and wounding her husband. Investigators say Roy Den Hollander dressed in a FedEx uniform Sunday and opened fire on Judge Esther Salas's New Jersey home when her son and husband answered the door.
He's not like running or someone's following him, not that way.
According to the New York Times, federal authorities are also investigating whether Den Hollander is connected to a murder in San Bernardino, California earlier this month when men's rights attorney Mark Angelucci was shot at his front door by a gunman also wearing a FedEx uniform. In a 2015 case before Judge Salas, Den Hollander represented a woman who wanted to register for the military draft. He was replaced as her lawyer last June before the case was fully resolved. It's unclear why, but it appears Den Hollander held a grudge against Judge Salas, writing in a self-published book that she is, quote, a lazy and incompetent Latina judge appointed by Obama. Den Hollander is also known for suing nightclubs over their ladies' night discounts. Here's what he told ABC News in 2007.
I'm now trying to turn these tables of equality on the feminazis who have changed this country.
After Sunday's shooting in New Jersey, police say Den Hollander was found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound about 100 miles from the crime scene. Sources say a FedEx package was in the car with Judge Salas's name on it. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
All right, as you walk out the door here this morning, some of you are dealing with a little bit of rain. Most of you are just dealing with partly to mostly cloudy skies across the area. And today's just one of those days where rain's going to be in the forecast for all day parts, but there's a lot of dry hours mixed in as well. Live look at Storm Team 6 radar shows two clusters of storms right now. We have this one that is making its way out of Indiana. And then in the bottom corner of your screen here, you notice this next one that is heading towards central Indiana. It's going to be weakening as it arrives, but nonetheless, it's going to bring in another round of showers and maybe a few thunderstorms into the area. The heaviest of the rain, Richmond east to the state line and then off into Ohio. It's light rain showers back towards Centerville as well as Cambridge City, and then a few little downpours here near the Rushville area, and that is just about it. As far as the rain goes in eastern portions of the state, in the metro area, nothing going on right now, but back off to the west, again, we are dealing with those storms that are starting to make their way through southern Illinois. They will weaken, though, as they arrive. That's the good news. They've already actually lost a lot of the lightning in the storms, and because we don't have the sun out right now, they'll continue to kind of fall apart as they approach the state line. So for us, it's probably some scattered showers moving through here during the middle half of the morning. But for most of us, I'm not expecting much in the way of rainfall this morning. Now, as the day progresses, what happens here this morning and early afternoon is really going to determine the strength and potential of storms later on this afternoon. The more sunshine we get into, the better potential there will be for some isolated storms to start to flare up during the course of the afternoon and into the evening hours. And then going forward into the late evening and overnight, another wave of some heavier rainfall could be making its way through the area. So we're going to maintain the threat of at least a couple isolated strong to maybe severe storms. I don't think it's going to be a widespread severe event for us, but the Storm Prediction Center has most of the state under the marginal risk for severe weather. That's that green color that you see on the left portion of your screen. On the right side is the threat level. You can see wind is the main threat as some of these storms make their way through the area later on this afternoon into the late evening hours. As far as Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, some scattered storms, temperatures right around 87. We just remained very unsettled across the area through the work week. And then once we get to the weekend, Lauren, the good news, temperatures back up into right around 90 degrees, but we'll take most of the storms out of the forecast.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Let's take a look at traffic right now. We do have a traffic alert for drivers down here on the south side traveling on I-465. This is a view near Madison Avenue. If you're in the westbound lanes, be aware we do have a ramp closure coming up on your right side. That's at the East Street exit to US 31. So let's take a look at our map right now and plan this out for you. Taking you down here to the south side, we do have the exit ramp blocked on 465 to US 31 for a crash cleanup. Southbound US 31 in that area is closed between the I-465 ramp system and Thompson Road. So we'll continue to monitor that closure and keep you updated. If you were traveling in that direction and you were on the interstate, you may want to head over to the Harding Street exit. That's the next one. Take that south to a road like Southport Road and you can reroute that way. And again, we'll continue to monitor this, but those southbound lanes of US 31 right now are closed. The first pitch of the Washington Nationals' new baseball baseball season will come from Dr. Anthony Fauci. The team says the top U.S. infectious disease expert has accepted their invite to toss the ceremonial pitch on Thursday night. The statement says it's a way to honor him for his work during the pandemic. Fauci is a known fan of the team, and he sported a Nationals face mask during the COVID-19 update. The Nationals will play the Yankees for their season opener. And while baseball is getting underway, the Toronto Blue Jays are still figuring out where they're going to play their home games. The Canadian government has banned the Jays from playing there, and they continue to have a non-essential travel ban for the U.S. The Pittsburgh Pirates are reportedly in discussions with the team to share their stadium. Toronto says if something falls through, they do have other plans. Their first home game is set for next Wednesday against the Nationals. Well, a daring dog led first responders on quite the pursuit along a D.C. highway. Just after the break, how firefighters managed to finally catch this speedy pup. We'll have that story and more coming up. So first responders in D.C. had quite the time trying to rescue a slippery little puppy running along the highway. Take a look. Officers chasing a Shih Tzu named Astro after his owner got in a crash. Astro got loose and proceeded to bob and weave as first responders and even other motorists tried to nab him. He even ran under a moving vehicle. Wow. Well, after 7 minutes of this puppy pursuit, Astro veered into some bushes and was later caught. He was then safely returned to his owner. A happy ending there. All right, Todd, as folks are heading out on the roads on this Tuesday, what can they expect in their forecast?
You know, they're mainly dry right now across central Indiana, Lauren, with the exception of over in Wayne County and Richmond. That's where we've run into some issues here this morning with some heavier downpours. But as you look from downtown to the north, the sun coming up a little bit later now this time of year. But once the sun does start to come up, we'll show you this view, and it'll show mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures right now are sitting generally right around 70 degrees in most locations. And for the most part, the next couple hours will be just mostly cloudy if you do have to commute into work. But as we go throughout the day, there will be the chance of some scattered storms. Some of the ones late today, we're talking probably evening hours, could be strong to severe with high temperatures anywhere from 82 to the north to about 88 degrees in Bloomington. Lauren.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Now at 5:30, the streets around Mass Ave businesses remain closed this morning. Working for you, we're talking with business owners who say they now welcome the closure.
And Lauren, college students will return to campuses in just a matter of weeks. Working for you this morning, we're looking at how school officials are preparing for classes to resume.
We do want to welcome you into Good Morning Indiana, 5:30 here. I'm Lauren Casey. Rafael Sanchez joining us at this hour from his home down in Franklin. Hey, Rafael.
Good morning to you, live from your official living room here in Johnson County. Lauren stepped outside just a few moments ago during the commercial break, and Todd Clausen, not as humid. It's not raining here, but wow, you can feel the difference even considering from yesterday. It feels so much better because of the rain.
Yeah, you know, you had some rain showers yesterday across parts of Johnson County. I was kind of driving through there on my way home from Brown County State Park yesterday afternoon. I could see the ground was a little bit wet. Got to downtown and it was dry, and it's just going to be one of those days again, Rafael and Lauren and everybody at home, where we have some downpours here and some downpours there, but some of you go through the day completely dry. Now this morning we're dealing with some rain getting ready to finally make its way out of Wayne County and the Richmond areas. You had some pretty heavy rainfall there over the course of the past hour or two, but starting to wind down. That is the good news. The rest of central Indiana is dry. However, this next batch of rain, while it is weakening here in southern Illinois, this is going to start to make its way towards central Indiana this morning. So for some of you, especially in western locations, there could be a few spotty showers once we get past, I would say, about the 7 o'clock hour, but most of us should be dry. 60s and 70s out there right now, and throughout the day we'll build back in the chance of storms later on this afternoon, and then some of the storms later on this evening could be borderline strong to severe. It's not a guarantee threat, though, severe weather. We'll talk more about it, Lauren, coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. We want to take a look right now down on the south side. This is our camera at I-465 near Madison Avenue. If you're traveling down here in the westbound direction, you will not be able to get off at US 31 East Street exit. That's the very next exit from where we're looking right now, and that's due to a crash cleanup. That crash is also closing all the southbound lanes of US 31 between I-465 and Thompson Road. If you're traveling through that area on the interstate, you'll need to continue over to the Harding Street exit, take that south, maybe use a road like Southport Road to reroute to get back to US 31. And if you're on US 31 and you're traveling southbound, you can reroute using some streets sort of around the movie theater down there to get over to Meridian Street and take that southbound to a road like Edgewood Avenue to get back to US 31. So we'll continue to keep you updated on this crash situation down on the south side that could have an impact on your commute. Raphael?
Lauren, in the news this morning, finally a slight break. State health officials are reporting the lowest number of COVID-19 cases in the past week with 658 cases. Here are the numbers. So far, 635,660 Hoosiers have tested positive for COVID-19. 57,206 of those came back positive. That's 9%. 3 additional deaths were also reported on Monday. And that brings the total number of coronavirus deaths in our state to 2,632.
And Raphael, this morning we are hearing from a central Indiana family that's been waiting for weeks for the results of a COVID-19 test. Amanda Cook says that her daughter took a test at CVS in Anderson after waking up with a sore throat. Now, it's been 2 weeks and still no results. Cook says not knowing and going without a paycheck has been really hard on her daughter.
She's a recent college graduate, and her work post-college, she had a contract that already got canceled, so she had to move home and get a part-time job. Now she's not even able to do that.
Well, we reached out to CVS, and the company tells us that patient samples are sent to a third-party lab, which is responsible for the processing and delivering of the test results. They say an increase in COVID-19 cases in other parts of the country has led to this delay. Indiana's health commissioner acknowledged that issue at last week's news conference. And as a reminder to anyone who lives or works in Indiana, you can get a free COVID test through the state. There are no other requirements. You can register for that at lhi.care/COVID testing or by calling 888-634-1116. Governor Holcomb is facing more calls to enforce a statewide mask mandate. The latest push is coming from the newest member of the Indiana House of Representatives. Democratic Representative Blake Johnson wrote a letter to Governor Holcomb last week requesting a mandate. In it, he discusses his mother's multiple sclerosis and the added risk she faces for COVID-19. Johnson says, quote, "My question to you is simple. Why does my mother's life and the lives of so many others who are at greater risk of severe illness from COVID-19 matter less than the personal comfort and conveniences of those who refuse to believe the science and adhere to your calls to do the right thing?" And Dr. Woody Myers, Holcomb's opponent in November's election, also called for a statewide mask mandate earlier this month. In it, he said, in a tweet that is, he said, "Mask orders are proven to help prevent the spread of COVID and save lives. Indiana is already facing the consequences of not mandating one," end quote.
So, Lauren, let's stay on this issue. This morning, there's some misunderstanding about medical exemptions to wearing a face covering, right? A legal expert tells us that the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA, makes it so businesses must make reasonable accommodations to everyone. Now, the key word in that sentence is reasonable. You see, store employees are allowed to ask customers why they are not wearing a mask or a face covering. If you refuse to answer, they may refuse entry to you. Even, get this, even if you give a legitimate reason to not wear a mask, you may still be refused entry. And that's because, and here's the key thing, the ADA does not apply if there's a direct threat to someone else's health or safety.
Well, Raphael, students will return to campuses and universities at colleges all across Indiana this fall. And our Alyssa Donovan explains that school leaders are preparing to make that transition as safe as possible.
Many colleges and universities still have a few weeks before they welcome back students to campus. But in the meantime, they're preparing their safety measures amid the pandemic.
Purdue University President Mitch Daniels says around 88% of students have opted to return to campus, while 12% of undergrads have opted for online classes due to either safety reasons or travel bans. The university is taking many safety measures, purchasing more than a mile of plexiglass that will be used to separate professors and their students. They've also designated 500 beds for those who need to quarantine. Students heading to Purdue's campus will be required to be tested for COVID-19. Other Indiana universities are laying out similar plans. IU is also requiring students to get tested. Those planning to attend class at the Bloomington campus must get tested within 10 days of arriving. At other IU locations, students will only be required to get tested if they're moving into the dorms. Ball State is adding more classes in the evenings to allow for smaller class sizes, and anyone who's on campus will be required to wear a face mask or a shield at all times, unless they're alone in a workspace or working behind a plexiglass barrier. Daniels says those involved in higher education are exchanging ideas and asking questions to ensure schools are doing the best they can to provide safe learning environments.
Nobody can say for certain that we can make this work. Plans have been changing in country after country, state after state, but it's the right thing to try to do. We're going to do literally everything that we think might make it any safer or more successful.
I'm Melissa Donovan, RTV 6.
Alyssa, thank you so much. For months now, you know, popular streets in downtown Indianapolis and throughout the city have been shut down to encourage shopping and, of course, to encourage outdoor dining. Our Kelsey Anderson is live this morning on Mass Avenue with what shop owners are saying this morning. Kelsey, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Raphael. So in mid-May, when they decided to close the streets here on Mass Ave, some shop owners were discouraged. They thought this is another hurdle to go over. But we talked to the owner of Silver in the City, and as you can see now, she's embracing this. She's got seating outside of her store, and she's hoping that they can really get that sense of community that we all need right now. Kristen Cohn is the owner of Silver in the City, and when these streets closed in mid-May, she was worried for her business and thought this is another hurdle. But after seeing the pedestrian-friendly plan in action, she's found appreciation for the once unwelcome change. You can see what we showed you earlier, those seats just outside where cars used to be parked. And while the new sense of community is welcome, Cohn says the street closures haven't saved every business.
It's hard to say what the closure impact has been on business. We have no idea what business would have been like if the streets were open. I would say that retailers are still hurting in a very big way. Our annual sales at our stores are still down 50% for the year.
After seeing more buy-in from business owners, the city is extending the street closures on Mass Ave, Georgia Street, and Broad Ripple Avenue again this time until Labor Day. Now, she says she hasn't seen these full effects of the street closures. They're still unclear, but she says it has made a difference in the sense of community that she says we all probably need right now in the summer of 2020. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, RTV 6.
All right, Kelsey, thank you. Well, a local film festival is going on as planned despite the pandemic, and you don't even need to leave your home. In its third year, the Indy Shorts International Film Festival is going virtual and offering up to more than 100 short films people can watch online. This year, they are also showing films at Tibbs Drive-In. Jessica Chapman, the marketing manager for Heartland Film, says they've actually sold over twice as many film passes this year than last year.
I think there's something new and fun about going to the drive-ins, even though it's an older concept. I think it's something that people don't think about and they haven't experienced. It's a new experience for them.
Well, the Indy Shorts International Film Festival is an Academy Award qualifying festival dedicated to short films. And if you want to check it out, you can learn more in this story. Just go to the RTV6 News app. At 5:41, let's toss things over to Todd at this hour for a check at our Tuesday forecast. Hey, TK.
Lauren, good morning to you. Good morning, everybody. As you get going on this Tuesday morning, most of us dealing with dry conditions. There's been some heavy rainfall this morning over in Wayne County in the Richmond area, but other than that, it's been pretty dry for us all across the area. Temperatures this morning, they are sitting right now right around 70 degrees in most locations, and that's where we'll stay until the sun gets a little higher up with just the chance of a stray shower. Going forward in this forecast, with the humidity around and the temperatures climbing into the 80s, we will build in a few thunderstorms later on this afternoon. So if you are heading to the pool, definitely warm enough, no problem there. But obviously, if some of these storms roll in, you'll have to vacate the pool or whatever you're doing outside and seek some shelter. We'll talk more about the severe threat that arrives this evening coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues right here on RTV 6.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. New this morning, Michael Cohen is suing U.S. Attorney General William Barr in his latest attempt to get out of federal prison. Lawyers for Cohen claim he was taken back into custody because of a tell-all book that he's writing about his years as President Trump's fixer. They say the Justice Department is retaliating and violating his First Amendment rights. Cohen is currently serving a 3-year sentence after pleading guilty to tax fraud and lying to Congress. As part of the Bureau of Prisons coronavirus response, Cohen was released in May. No comment yet from the Department of Justice.
Well, more than 140,000 Americans have died so far from the coronavirus since the start of this pandemic, and those cases continue to rise. But there is a glimmer of hope about several vaccines. They could be safe and they could be effective by this year's end. ABC's Rena Roy reports that President Trump says that he'll resume his regular coronavirus briefings after stopping them back in April.
This morning, a sign of hope in the race for a vaccine against COVID-19.
By the end of 2020, we will have 1, 2, or maybe 3 vaccines that have been proven safe and effective.
A new study published in The Lancet finding an experimental Oxford vaccine appears to be safe and activates the immune system to respond to the virus. The U.S. government investing $1.2 billion in the Oxford vaccine developed by AstraZeneca, ordering 300 million doses. Right now, it is in phase 3 trials, on track to be the first to be widely produced. This as new cases rise in at least 40 states. Florida considered one of the nation's hotspots, with more than 10,000 new cases every day for nearly a week. You can see long lines of people waiting to get tested in Miami-Dade County. Protesters frustrated with Florida's governor yelling over him at a news conference yesterday. Meantime, Texas is one of at least 39 states battling an increase in hospitalizations. In Hidalgo County, patients waiting up to 10 hours before an initial exam. On the campaign trail, presidential candidate Joe Biden slamming the president's handling of the pandemic.
There is no leadership here. This guy has no sense of empathy or concern for people. People are dying.
The attack comes after President Trump tweeted this picture saying, quote, "Many people say that it is patriotic to wear a face mask when you can't socially distance. There is nobody more patriotic than me." As he comes under fire over his handling of the pandemic, President Trump now says he plans to ramp up his involvement in briefings on the virus after they abruptly stopped in April. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
The NFL is responding to player concerns about safety as they prepare for training camps later this month. Monday, the league scrapped preseason games for the summer. Now, the league's proposal also includes an offer for a longer training camp. That's according to ESPN. The Players Association has not yet responded to that offer. Earlier in the day, the two parties agreed to a new protocol, which includes daily COVID-19 testing for the first 2 weeks of camp. As of Friday, 72 players have tested positive for COVID-19. Training camps are set to begin July the 28th, ahead of the season kickoff in September. Time to check your forecast with Todd Clausen. And Todd, as we head outside, we may feel much cooler out there, and the rain has stopped here in central Indiana.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty nice morning for most of us here, Raphael. You mentioned the humidity earlier. That's down a little bit from where it was yesterday. And we did have some shower activity overnight, and I'll show you where that is on Storm Team 6 radar in just a second. But I'm going to start you off with the view from downtown to the north. You can now see the sky starting to brighten just a little bit across the area. Off in the distance, you see some clouds, but plenty of sunshine is expected over the course of the morning. Temperatures are sitting in the 60s and 70s right now. 68 in Kokomo, 73 in Bloomington. Today is just going to be one of those typical summertime days cities where we'll have partly cloudy skies, but the chance of some thunderstorms flaring up almost virtually at any point throughout the course of the day. The bigger picture here shows 2 clusters of rain. This one finally making its way out of Wayne County, where they had some very heavy rainfall the last hour or two. This batch of rain in southern Illinois is moving pretty quick, and it's heading towards central Indiana as well, but it's weakening, and it's probably just going to taper off to a few spotty showers as we work our way into the course of the next couple hours. Richmond, some light rain continues to fall and then extends a little further back down towards Rushville. But you see, basically the rains come to an end there in Rush County, so that is good news. Otherwise, the partly cloudy skies, but off to our west, there's that cluster of rain in southern Illinois I just showed you, but there's more showers here up to the north. And what's going on is there's just kind of a front that is stalled across the area, and that front's just going to act as a little bit of a trigger mechanism to flare up these thunderstorms off and on throughout the day. So my best advice for you today is if you are out and about, if you're just walking or riding your bike, check radar before you go. If you're driving in your car and just running some errands across town, have the umbrella in the car in case one of these storms flares up. But I think the best chance of storms is probably now later in the day and then eventually into the overnight hours. And some of those storms late tonight and early tomorrow morning could be strong to severe. All the areas you see in green, a marginal risk for severe weather. On the threat category, that's the lowest end of the threat spectrum. So it's definitely not a guarantee for severe weather tonight, but if we did see an isolated severe thunderstorm warning, it would probably be for some gusty and damaging wind. More storms in the forecast Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday before we see the heat return back up into the 90s. If we don't get there Saturday, it looks like we could get there on Sunday. Lauren.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. It is 5:52, and let's take a look at traffic right now for your commute. This is that ongoing construction project at I-65 near Keystone Avenue, south of downtown. We have a report from INDOT on Twitter saying they have one additional southbound lane closed off for today for this construction project, so keep that in mind. Northbound side, you still have a traffic shift, so be aware of that if you're heading in from the south side this morning. We'll continue to keep our eyes on your roads and keep you updated on any issues. Raphael.
So, Lauren, a Wisconsin bank has really come up with a creative way to help local businesses there amid the pandemic, as well as deal with this coin shortage that the pandemic has caused. Let me take you to the Community State Bank in Wisconsin, which launched this coin buyback program. Now, people who turn in $100 worth of change to one of the bank's 7 locations will get a $5 bonus. Hundreds of people have already dropped off their spare change, and the bank says some have brought in coins without even asking for anything back. The shortage is the result of the partial closure of our economy, which halted the flow of coins. The bank says it will continue this program until there is no longer a demand.
Well, the IRS has released its Dirty Dozen list, or what it considers to be the top tax scams in 2020. One of the most common types are phishing scams, which the IRS calls a major threat right now. These scams use fake emails and websites to steal personal information. There are also fake charities and threatening impersonator phone calls you need to watch out for. Those calls are where the scammer pretends to be the IRS and they demand money or threaten the victim with legal action. The IRS says that Americans need to remain vigilant as more aggressive and evolving schemes are being committed related to the pandemic.
So, Lauren, the Ferrari F40 is a prized possession in the car world. After the break, the bizarre crash leaving one less in the entire world. Good morning to Plainfield, Greencastle, and Kokomo on this Tuesday morning.
Welcome back. So the Ferrari F40 is a rare car with only 1,300 ever produced. Raphael, 10 of those are in Australia.
I could have sworn I saw one in Todd's driveway, but it was dark this morning, so maybe I was mistaken. This morning, there are only 9 surviving F40s in the entire country of Australia. The rare sports car crashed into a tree near the east coast of Australia. The driver and his passenger were told both walked away unharmed. And by the way, I am told that a Ferrari F40 went up for sale, Lauren, will just simply cost, you know, this is just what, half hour of Todd's salary, $2.4 million.
Ooh. Not good. That one, they probably should have had insurance on that one. That's pretty crazy.
But
Bad
Todd
luck.
has the cash. He could Todd could do anything, right, Todd? You have the cash.
He can restore it, yeah.
Raphael, you're full of all the jokes here this morning. Oh, full of all the jokes. I will tell you, because you guys joke with me all the time, I met my worst enemy yesterday down in Brown County State Park. You know what that was?
Oh, no. A snake.
Almost stepped right on the snake. You should have seen me turn the other way. I ran like the Dickens. I was like a little baby. But that's what it is. All right, outside right now we are dealing with pretty quiet conditions. We had some rain over in Wayne County earlier this morning. That has moved out. Additional storms possible later on this afternoon and then into the evening hours. The evening storms could be strong to severe. We'll talk more about them coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues.